Welcome to Mindfully with Tumishe, the podcast that invites you to explore mental health with honesty, compassion, and openness. Each week, your host, Tumishe Oladapokuku, shares personal stories and stories from people like you. Together, we'll confront mental health myths and build a space where imperfection isn't feared but embraced. From self-esteem struggles to relational conflicts, we're here to discuss it all with guidance from experts and real raw stories that inspire healing. It's time to live mindfully. It's time to be compassionate with ourselves and each other. Mindfully with Tumishe, new episodes every week, available wherever you listen to podcasts or at blackimages.com.
Hello, mindful partners. How are you doing today? Of course, you know that is code for have you checked in with yourself today? All right, moving forward, I promised in the last episode, the one we talked about consistency in being fluid, that I would have a conversation on mindfully with Tumishe to reflect June as Men's Mental Health Month. And today, I'm glad to say I present to you that conversation. It was, of course, anchored by Ola and 3 other men, and they share the perspectives on how they connect with their masculinity in the face of social conditioning. So, enjoy this conversation.
All right, this is Ola, and I'm good to be your host for this episode of Mindfully with Tumishe. And this is the reason it's been Men's Month, really, June, yeah. And so we're taking this time out to just have conversations with just men, right? I'm hoping that it's not too hard. You know how guys can be how guys talk. I'm just hoping it's going to be a bit, but there's no prep here. Nobody is prepping anybody. So whatever it is you hear is how it's going down. With me in the studio today, I have...
My name is Adewale Oluwoporoko.
Right, and...
Korede Omopelu.
And...
Olubunmi Kuku.
Why did you put the and in front of your name?
And Olubunmi Oladapokuku.
All right, of course, I'm Ola, and it's good to be here. All right, so I'm going to start with something like, well, during Good School, we're talking about what the garden within is. Okay, so that's cultivating the garden within. When I asked, I'm like, "So sure, why are we doing this?" Say, okay, just me. I like, wow, because I know this can be a lot for men. Men usually talk about what it is and going on inside, but this is where I'm going to start it from. What does showing up look like for you, Wale?
Showing up. Even when you don't want to do it. Even when you're tired. Even when you don't want to do it. But you're still there. So I think that's what showing, for me.
Yeah, for you.
For me, I think that's what showing up means. When you're tired, when you don't want to do it, but you have a commitment to meet or deliver. So even when you don't want to even be there, sometimes, because there are some cases sometimes where you don't want to even be there, but commitments will not allow you back down. So I think that's what showing up.
Okay, so what would showing up look like for you?
Well, I think for me, showing up is Exactly as I said, just be there, do the needful, and what is expected and what is expected, and not. Well, I don't know. I don't do above and beyond any longer. Yeah, I don't do that any longer. I just show up is what is expected, meet everything, and that's about it.
Oh. Okay. What would it look like for you?
I think for me it's going to be more of doing what you have to do, part time, and doing it as best as you can. I say as best as you can because the best today might be different from best tomorrow.
Right.
But
Part time.
part time.
Okay, good. Okay, so these questions may seem very very without borders because you're a man now, so as you've been conditioned, the idea is for you to show up, right? But what we're coming into is how, even though as a man, how like me said is part time, but how often or how do you exert yourself in that part time? Because if you put show up, that's the first thing you say. Show up. You forget about the part time. Because when push comes to shove, right? You say you don't do above and beyond. You will forget that the above and beyond. The show up is what comes up first for you. So how do you? I know we're having this conversation. Right? You're able to be logical about the responses, but I'm saying in terms of life happening to you, right? How does it feel like showing up? I know we've given answers, but those answers feel very, very mannish. But I'm saying so it's a journey from where we used to be to where we're going to, right here where we are now, compared to where we used to be. How is this? Okay, so let me put it this way: how does showing up feel differently now than it used to be?
Okay, so I think last week was my birthday, and I didn't see the need to. What's that English now? I didn't see the need to make so much noise. I guess I'm getting older, so I guess I'm getting older, and so I didn't see the need to make so much noise. I didn't tell them in my office that it was my birthday. So they didn't post on my company CUG. I didn't tell them in my church group that it was my birthday. So they didn't post there and all of that. But persons that saw my Facebook status and all of that. And so that made me conclude one thing. And as I was saying, it doesn't do above and beyond any longer. I remember telling myself that day that I would not do podus. I will not do C's for people that do podus. I don't know if you understand what I mean. So I will not do seas, oceans for people that do podus. And so what I do now is, to the best of my ability, I won't do it. My father has a saying that says, don't displease yourself to please others. So I will not show up if it's not going to benefit me. I will not feel that pressure to say, okay, they might say something if I don't do this. They might say something if I don't.
Yeah, it's now transactional, isn't it?
Not transactional. I'm not saying you have to do something for me to do something for you. But what I'm saying is, if it will not matter in the next 1 year, sorry, no, I'm not going to show up like that.
Okay, so I'm going to change the question. What kind of man would you say you're becoming?
Is that for me?
What kind of man would you say you're becoming?
That's I think that's a vague question that requires vague response.
Why is it vague?
I mean, what kind of man? As in, when you say what kind of man, then you are measuring it against.
I'm not measuring it against anything. It's just a statement.
Yeah, well,
you are the one that is measuring it in your mind.
Well, I'm the best version I can be. I'm trying to become a better man every time, and I don't know what the parameters of becoming better is.
You can give us a
But
parameter.
if it-
So in terms, I believe that everyone wants to become better. I believe so.
Absolutely.
Right. If there's anything that worries me is that am I better?
Am I impacted?
Am I no? That impact is far. Am I better now than I was even last week? Because when I look at my life, I'm like, are you any different from the way you've been? So I'm not. It's not in terms of any other person, but in terms of yourself. How far have you come from where you've come from to this is the kind of person I really want to be? I'm not there yet. I want to be the kind of father that does this. I want to be the kind of son that is able to say, have a conversation with my mother that is not triggering.
Well, I can't be a son any longer.
But your father. But yes, so that.
But in all fairness, basically what you're saying is there is still a bar that you're comparing yourself with. It's just like a matter of what is that bar?
That's the question. There's always a bar, except you have died. If you have died, there's nothing to compare to look forward to anymore. But as long as you're still alive, you're looking forward to your children's next birthdays, weddings. So you still look up to. There's still something ahead of you to look up to. So in terms of where you've come from, right, and where you want to be, where you expect to be. I'm not even talking about material things now. I'm talking about you as a person in terms of maybe your personal, your thoughts. Maybe you want to be less. So I want to be less triggered by what people say. I'm a word person, and it's just crazy that I'm just realizing that things that have been said to me over 30 years ago, I can just remember them and they piss me off again. And I'm not joking. I'm not joking. They just piss me off again. And I've never thought that, I would be that kind of person. But because of my journey in self-development, in emotional intelligence, a lot of things that I thought I'd dissipated and now begin to surface. And I'm like, oh my goodness, why am I feeling like that? Oh, this is it. I didn't deal with them then. I just buried them. They didn't go. So now that I'm doing all the dredging and I'm trying to make life more beautiful, they're coming to the surface and I'm having to deal with them. Those are the questions those are the kind of questions.
So I think for me, I think I'm becoming someone that people will remember. Growing up, I used to battle with not being seen. So I had a mother, she's late now. I had a mother who doesn't believe in expressing yourself. So she would say, if you do this, your younger ones will copy you and do it.
Right.
So that's one of the things that made me go into journalism, go into poetry and all that. Because if I can't say anything, I have to put it down somewhere or my mind would explode.
Right.
And so I was having a conversation I was supposed to be at an event yesterday, and I put on my status and say the urge to wear all black to this all white party is so high. And a friend of mine said, you have always caused a stir anywhere you enter. I don't know how you're doing it, but you always cause a stir. That would never have been me 10 years ago. Maybe some 10 years ago. Wouldn't have been me because I didn't believe I should say something. I should speak, I should react. The way I was brought up was to keep quiet.
Right.
Don't say anything. I still have an aunt that still reminds me that you don't have to talk too much.
Right.
You are a man. So even when you are angry, even when things are so, but now with the things that I've learned, mixing with certain people, for example, Tumishe, for example, has taught me that I don't have to repress those things, or else I'll go crazy.
Right.
And so I think I'm becoming that person that will be remembered. Probably not from talking too much.
Right.
Probably from the things that I'm doing, from the things that I will do, or probably from the way, like my friend said, the way you carry yourself.
What does that mean to you?
I guess
So one of the things that
I
hold
finally
on.
okay.
So I ask some questions sometimes, and people want to answer them immediately, and I know you're not giving me the correct answer.
Okay.
Why? Because I've thought about it. Not thought about your answer, but I've thought about the question. And if you just give me an answer just because you heard the question, you're most likely not going to give me the real thing.
Okay.
So just think about it, and we'll come back to you. So what kind of man? Please don't be diplomatic.
You see, that's my first answer. So my first answer to that now is that that's the kind of person that I've become now. I really, it's not about caring whose ox is God, I'm no longer that kind of person that wants to have everybody as his friend or please everybody. I've reached the point now, right, where
I think age does that to you.
yeah, and
Yes.
apart from age, the other commitments, both at work and at home, but I'm a kind of person now that measures the impact level ratio. So how much work is done by who and what is the impact of that.
Right.
So, and it may end up looking as if it's all calculated. However, I have come to the point that the kind of person I am now is this. If the people that gave birth to me, if they only took care of the children they gave birth to, they will still be alive. Because everyone they took care of their children, those ones have taken their parents abroad now. Right? Yeah, so if their own parents are taking care of them, maybe they will have died too, who knows? So I've reached a point, so we have to measure all these things by, Tumishe says we live backward and understand forward, or whatever the case I should say. So
Live forward, understand.
backward. So looking back at those now, even this morning I was having a conversation with my wife, and somebody is calling me now and asking if I only had this money. I said, well, I'm not going to advise you on that. You're a wise woman, figure it out. But me, it is a matter of impact level ratio.
Right.
All right. If it's going to be detrimental to my mental health and well-being, that's the end of Solomon Grundy. At Muson Center where I work, I've arranged all the things I do to be only on Monday and Tuesdays, so that I can have my Tuesday and Wednesday. So Monday, Thursday, Friday, I wake up whenever I want to wake up for my own.
Right.
Yes, of course, that means that finances will cut down.
Right.
But I've reached a point where it's a matter of impact level ratio, and I'm just going. And I'm going, and that's it. I went to the estate meeting today simply because I want to grumble about something. Then I get triggered also. I go back from work last week. My neighbor had cut my trees because leaves were falling to this compound. My normal reaction was to go and bang the gate. The next day I called my gardener. Prune it a bit more.
Right.
So that let me feel like I'm the one that pruned this and not, so that's where I am at the moment. Like I have no time.
Right.
No time.
Right. Okay, so.
Okay, so what's the question?
Oh, don't worry. I'll ask you again. I'll repeat myself. What kind of man are you learning to become?
Sometimes clarity comes in silence. Other times it takes a gentle nudge, a conversation, a question, or a pause you didn't know you needed. That's what BHM coaching at Black Images offers. Not a fix, not a formula, but a space. One where your story is safe and your growth doesn't have to look like anyone else's. You can begin with a free discovery session. Just 30 minutes to breathe, reflect, and maybe, if you're up for it, sit with guided meditation. If life feels loud and you need support now, there's mindful coaching on the go. Short, focused check-ins that help you stay grounded when things feel shaky. For deeper shifts, there's the journey to being, a mindful exploration shaped by the framework from the book Living Mindfully, A Journey to Being. this isn't about perfection, it's about presence. And if you're someone who needs steady hands over time, the monthly and community plans are there, offering consistent support that grows with you. Visit blackimages.com when you're ready, not to be fixed, but to be seen.
Okay, I think I'm just learning to be the kind of guy that has an impact on where I am right now, an impact after. The reason being that it's a lot easier if you look at it from a man has to provide. It's a lot easier for you to keep giving. It's a lot easier for you to keep being there for everybody. But then what about being there for yourself? It's a lot easier for you to do things for people, but then what happens to being yourself, right? So a lot for me, so it's more about impact in the sense that make sure you're doing things for yourself, you're doing things for people around you, right? And make sure whatever it is that you're doing is impactful and makes sense. Right. There's really no need doing something that doesn't make sense at the end of the day. And you now start wondering why.
We should have brought somebody much younger. Because it seems that all the responses are in the area of impact.
But
well,
Ola, if life shows you, man.
So when you say there's line of impact, I suddenly realized that the only thing that we have left, my father will say something to me, and I'm saying this because we talk a lot, like me and my dad. It's late now, so of course 6 years gone. He will say something. It says it in Yoruba that if you're a father, the only thing that you're remembered by is when you leave this world is your action, and that action would now remain when you are gone and with your children. So I think that everything that we should do, gender aside now, should be about impact. Because it's if you know how soon people forget about people, you would know that the only thing that you should really be...
Does that now mean that you're living for people?
Okay. So, my mother had this policy of living how I want to live. How it now impact you. But I will do what I think
So what
is
determines
good.
the impact? You or the receiver?
The receiver.
Okay, so it can be something you think is impactful and doesn't impact them. That's the point.
As long as
It was good for you.
not good for me. As long as I what's that English? I don't want to use the word
I mean,
conscience.
in terms
but
of,
I feel like
as long as the action that you took was good for you.
exactly.
We can go on and on about this. I've taught lessons that I planned very, very well. And I had the Ministry of Education come and say it's a bad lesson. You right? Then I have the Ministry of Education from England come and say it's a good lesson.
Right.
Right, outstanding lesson. So that now begins to tell you that it's not about doing you. You don't want to do you and isolate yourself.
Right.
And at the same time, you want to insulate yourself, from, we are saying all of this, and whether you want to say we should bring a younger person or not. But I could
Just to hear the perspective of
I mean, my son is going to be 10, and he's already telling me, I'm going to learn barbecue so that I can deliver to people, so that I can have some money to buy something for my younger brother at that age. So it is the way that men have been conditioned.
Provider.
I don't even want to talk provider. It's just that it's just, give an example. Everybody here has been told about hell hath no fury like a woman scorned, and everybody in the world knows about that. But the feeling of being scorned is for every human, not for only women. And that is why when a man that has been scorned reacts, all right, nobody is prepared for it. You know, so and because of that, every man has been told, that you can do this, you can do that. So I understand when we say impact. The impact, from my own point of view, is this: I would check it without being, without, how do I put it? I'll look at what it is in it for me and for the person. And if it's a good decision, I will go by it. Now, if it doesn't impact you the way you expect it, then you're also a human being. Do it yourself. You get my point? You're also a human being. Do it yourself. So, I mean, my boss will say, I don't know why you leave are they chasing you at home? Why did you get to work at 7? I said, well, that's your own. So that I can leave at 2. You come at 11, but you cannot go to keep me here till 6 because you got here at 11. I've put in my hours. I'm going home. So if what I'm doing doesn't really, I don't have to greet you.
Get the work done.
Yes. So the impact for me, if you want to perpetuate your existence after you've left, and as a musician, just write albums now. People keep on buying it after you die. But if you keep on going about what will people say about me after I've left, the tendency of dying young is very, very high.
I agree with you.
Yeah,
I agree.
it's very, very
I
high.
really don't care what people would think.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Immediate burnout.
Right.
So the thing is, I think I took that from my mom. That woman doesn't care what people will say. She just do it. So like he said, you now determine if that's impact you, because perception matters. So if I say I'm doing this to impact you and you say I'm not doing enough, sure, but that's the best that I can do.
It's got to the point when the feeding of the children in school is now 300,000 naira. Why can you not cook for them to take to school? I don't want to do it. Well, at this point in time, you are the one that will pay this 300,000, not me. And it was like, I did not say anything more than that. And I did not argue. When the receipt for school fees came, minus the 300, they've not called me in the school now to ask me
why the children are not eating in school,
or why they are eating in school. And I did not even bother. It's not part of what I want to do. And that's the end of Solomon Grundy. So you come to realize, and I think also that's...
No, I'm not going to allow you to go. I need to know at what point did this mindset of peace, like I just want peace, I don't want trouble.
Okay,
when even though to some people that can be I want trouble, I don't want peace. It depends on how you look at it. But for me, it looks like I just don't want any kind of stress. When did this?
Mine came. I think mine came. It started from the passing of my mom. It was building up and building up. Then it culminated at the passing of my dad.
Okay.
Then I spent 2 weeks at one place one time like that. And that was because I was keen on getting the students in the school to behave well at all times. So I had gone and given them some very, very stern warning. Alright, the stern warning ended sending me off to a rehab home. You get? And the children eventually got expelled later. But I had lost the job, I had lost everything. Then I said, you know what? Eventually, all these people are trying to make their life better. Yeah, some people's children, anyways. Right. All right. So, yes, I want to live long. I have so many vices that is cutting my life short already. So, if I'm putting emotional stress to make it shorter, if I can remove that one. And honestly, it makes you emotionally available for me. It makes me emotionally available
for the things that matter.
Yeah, and to my family precisely. Nothing they do now really upsets me because the other extensions, those other jara that you are always carrying around doesn't bother me any longer. As I go to work, I close at 2. Why are you leaving so early? I want to go and pick my children.
Right.
After I've laid those boundaries, now nobody gives me extra work any longer. No, you can't give it to Korea after 2 because you have to go and pick his children.
Right.
So if you see me at the office at 4, they see that this guy is
Something is
going
above and
and beyond. And that's it.
And I think setting those boundaries, right, is something that as men we have to be very intentional about. You know, when I asked the question of showing up, and you said commitment, and you said part time, that's that setting of that boundaries that allows you to be able to say, okay, I'll do this, right? But you know it's not something they won't carry that nonsense to you next time just because you did it once and all that. Okay, fine. You have something to say, add to that.
No, I think most people have said
I think it's so impactful.
Right.
It's so impactful that my boss called me this morning and she said, I know you love your time. I'll make this as short as possible. Where's the number of the person I want to call yesterday? And I've said, thank you very much. Bye.
Because you set boundaries.
Well, so for me, the peace came from, I saw the kind of life my mom lived. And so she doesn't care. But I think deep down in her, she didn't care because she was carrying so much weight. And so I see.
People say they don't care. It's not something I buy.
So, okay.
It's usually, when people say they don't care, it's usually a traumatic response.
Yeah.
Because as human beings, we care.
So I realized that after I started mixing with, like I said,
Right.
the crowds that I'm mixing with now. And so I saw the weight and
Right.
that she carried.
Right.
And I kind of see it in my sister.
Right.
And so when my mom died, I took one decision, and it was one that no matter who the person is, I would never allow anybody inspire bitterness in me. So when I mean bitterness, I mean anything that comes with I'm feeling resentment,
Right.
whatever, or I'm not supposed to do this, but you're giving me. Do you understand? I won't bottle that up. I won't do whatever it's called. I will tell you, this is not my job. I'm doing it for you because you don't have a choice. Not because I want to do it. I don't tell you. It don't come from my mind. That's it. I began to. So I don't want to live with that weight. I saw what it did to her. I see what it's doing to my sister sometimes, and I don't want to be that person.
Well, see,
I don't.
let me just JIC in a very, very easy way. I mean, I've reached a point, and honestly, as I don't understand, Atlantic Hall, I work with only Nigerian teachers. At BIS, Nigerian experts. CIS, Nigerian experts. And even at Lekki British, I found out that these guys, once it's about to stress them like this, right? They do not care. Malaria is 5 days off. You are using malaria medicine. Once you feel better today, you are going tomorrow.
I'm not even feeling better.
That's one first. Wait now. So that's one. You see, I've also come to realize that Yoruba will say that I want to gba ọ̀tá fún. Only pé ẹ̀jẹ̀ wá stay nation. You
have to say that in English.
I mean, it's not that I took a bullet for you.
Right.
And you have complained that my blood is stains your own, and that bullet was meant for you. And it's always going to be like that. And I don't think we are people pleasers here, but we care so much about image that we want to keep that image there. But image that will be forgotten 7 days after the wakekeeping.
Right.
7 days is too much.
The people that will remember you are the people that have your pictures in front of them, and even if they label a street after you, who really thought that Gowon Estate belongs to Gowon? There are a couple of things that are there. Me, I've just reached a point, after I went to that place for 2 weeks, and I came back, and I told all this drama. That's the end of Solomon Grundy. I'm not doing this again. I'm not doing this again. I think it's not about just looking. I don't know. You get to that point and you just know that, you know what, that's it. So everybody that will come to me, everybody that will come to the house at Lekki, you know, they will come every weekend. And now my house is suddenly so far because it's Nagege. But when I was in Lekki, it wasn't really far. And these people I'm talking about used to come from Agege to Lekki. But from Agege to Agege now,
It's far.
the house is far. So you begin to now, you just get that realization. Okay. You know. And you now go and seek, if you go and seek for support, the way you have been supporting them, there's always the label, no, he's coming to test us. They will tell you, no, we don't have any support. Yes, well, low you go. And you don't. So even when you're asking for help, people are not giving you help because of the image
That
you have already given. So you don't even get the support because of this image we are building. You know, that's about it. I told the boss this morning, I can't come to the concert tomorrow because I'm keeping the money in my account for petrol on Monday and Tuesday. It wasn't share all like I said, well, I am not coming to the concert tomorrow, but I'll come for the one on Monday. Right? Because you don't go asking for support all the time, you have created an image that will not allow people to support you. And that's exactly why you just Jesus that died for everybody, when his eyes got clear, he woke up on the third day.
Well, I think for me, what I would say is I can't laugh that one out. I can't laugh that out. So there's a thing about impact, right?
Life moves fast, sometimes too fast. If you're looking to slow down and reconnect with yourself, Living Mindfully, A Journey to Being by Oluwatomise Oladapo Kuku might be what you need. It's part memoir, part guide. An honest, deeply personal story about navigating life's noise with intention. Oluwatomise shares lessons from her own journey through struggle, reflection, and healing, with a voice that's equal parts vulnerable and wise.
It felt like she was speaking directly to me, raw, real, and quietly powerful.
Get your copy wherever books are sold, or visit blackimages.com to begin your journey. Living Mindfully, A Journey to Being. Slow down, breathe, begin.
But I can't remember for the life of me the particular movie, right, where this statement came out from. But that statement kind of just changed my perspective to a lot of things. And the statement was like, okay, what about if that person that you felt you are doing something for, or that person that you felt you love, told you, I didn't ask you for it?
I've experienced that.
What's going to be your reaction?
I cried.
Are you going to feel bad because you did it for the person with the notion that the person was going to return the favor, which can be termed transactional, or you did it because it was out of your good heart to do? So I'm saying this because if you look at when you mentioned impact, I might be doing things because it's what I want to do. Right? Is the impact I feel you're going to have. It's the impact it's going to have. But you might look at it and feel, did I ask you? So does that change me from doing it next time?
Well, it's up to you.
Ideally,
It shouldn't.
It shouldn't. If
Depends
I'm
on
doing
where
it,
you did it from.
if I'm doing it because I want to do it, then it should have an impact. It shouldn't, the way you respond shouldn't take me off totally. We're humans. You feel bad.
It might take me off. If this one, because there's a place of honor too. If you have not honored me, is putting seed in bad ground.
So what that means, impact has a lot of things.
Yes, it does. It does.
Okay, so I experienced that. I had a friend that I was helping out with some things. I did some things for them and all of that. And 2 weeks, I didn't reach out. I was battling for my life. Acute ulcer in the hospital. And they said, when I called them, I said, guy, now for you, he didn't even check up on me. He said, when you don't reach out now, I feel say you don't finish with that. And I'm like, So we got to this certain conversation, and then I said, but Nami they always reach out, Nami they do this, and then I said, I force you.
That's what now.
So I paused.
I don't send you.
So I paused and thought about it, and then I cried because truly they didn't force me. I was doing it out of what's that thing? I was doing it because I felt like he needed those things to be done for him. You understand? By a friend. This same person, after he graduated, he was my senior by a year. So after I graduated from the university and he had a delay with NYC, I was always checking up to say, okay, Alpha, the NYC money don't complete for you to do your class and all of that. And then one day he said, this one you always asking me about this NYC thing. You just say not be you they do me because, and I'm like, and so the whole thing was.
I'm not even going to go into.
It was a lot, but I stopped.
Right.
I didn't stop being his friend.
Again,
But I just stopped.
No. So again,
That impact.
I'm saying I don't want to go there because people don't define friendship. I don't want. That's why I don't want that table. It's table I like to break. I like to shatter. I don't like the leg on that. I don't like that table has 4 legs. People don't define what friendship is, and that gives me the X. It just gives me a headache. Because there's no friend of mine in this life. I will say that nonsense. You cannot. We can be, and I think it's definition. You're my acquaintance, close colleague, close neighbor. You will be anything but friend. A friend, there's a certain thing. There's certain things that I don't think our friends should say to each other. That's why I said I don't want to go on that table because that table will take us to where we should not. Let's just stay on cultivating, the garden. Okay, so let's as we're generally just pushing this to a close. What part of your story is it that you're still coming to peace with? Like there's something about your life that okay, yes, they've told me, I realize that okay, whether it was my fault or it wasn't my fault. Like what part of it are you still making peace with that? You even as you're going on that journey, you still look back and it still makes you feel cringy. I know this one will catch because for anyone to talk about this, but yeah, let's just see.
So I don't know which perspective they are.
Again, I'm not. I don't want to put it to a particular. It can be anything.
So let me rephrase what you're saying. What you're saying is, what is that thing that we feel the impact is
I've done before.
That I've done before. I wish I didn't do, or I'm still living with the impact of an action.
That's how you have received it. That answer to is fine.
I didn't really get it.
No. I want us to get it right.
No,
Okay, rephrase your question.
I don't want to rephrase it.
Okay,
I want you to receive it in the way that allows you to give your responses to it.
Okay, now
what part of your story? It's your story, so I can't guide that story. What part of your story are you still making peace with?
The problem is, I do not absolutely have any regret, really. Personally, if it comes to career choice, I don't have any regret. This is what I wanted to do all my life, and I'm doing it. If it's choice of partner, well, the ones that were regrettable did not become. So that's nothing to regret about. Maybe I didn't have children on time. Maybe that could be the only thing. But choice of friends, I've always thought that I would think myself as likable, and I would always be open, to people that get into the circle. I've always thought that I have a good judge of character, so People that get close to me are supposed to be of good character.
Right.
And everybody has always been of good character until
Events happen.
until when we are in the same boat. Alright? So I realize that people just want to know the you they met in 2023 and 2003. So now in 2025, and you have moved on. You are still friends with them, but you have moved on, and they do things to keep you in 2003. Not being able to identify that kind of relationship on time, right? That's probably what I can say I regret, because I have seen such kind of people do dangerous things to affect my career, even at Muson. For instance, so the director would, whenever I set exam question,
Yeah.
the director would look at the exam question. And this guy has good command of English. So when it's graduation, come Mr. Koide. Normally when I was working in the FRCN, somebody would write my speech for me. Would you write mine? So I've been writing the speech for the past 6 to 7 years. I've been writing it without AI. I'm writing it. So one of those our drunken movements. I was telling this my very good former friend. And you know what? You have to up your game so that people can not just play piano. People can notice you. For instance, and that speech sounds like, oh, I write the speech. I just said it in passing. The editor called me some months later. Are you going to write my speech, or you want me to go and tell this person that said I don't want to write my speech? So why would you go and tell my boss that I'm the person that I told you that you just want to destroy my career? You get? But because she is an older person, she's like, oh, I don't know about you guys. Wherever I work, we used to collaborate. He can write, he's doing that for me. Do you want to do something for me too? Like, do you want to draw the concert program? That's how she quelled it. She took her time to tell me. Immediately she told me, then I opened my eyes and I saw his actions for the past 6 months has been very, very toxic. Look, I wasn't paying attention. So for me, the only regret is the kind of friends, I have good friends, but certain ones that I should have kicked out of my life earlier than now.
At least it's good that your eyes opened up to that, because I think that they leave prints. It's just that we don't see that.
Yeah.
They leave, but at least you sing one.
That's the reason why. That's the reason I'm saying the same thing. They leave. Is that print that is leading to impact level ratio? If I do this for you, if it's not enough for you, too bad. I'm not going above.
I'm not even going to get that stage. What? And I keep telling people, one of the greatest transformation of my life was one of that I started last year. If I noticed we're supposed to be friends, and I can't tell what it is that you are doing in my life. Last year I called a few people. It's our friendship. What's it about? It's crazy. Because every time I tell people, they don't come like, you did that. No, you can't beat me.
Sure.
Like, you can't beat me. And that caused me to I reassessed a few people from inner courts, moved them to outer court. There's inner court, there's Holy of Holies, that people know the entire place. There's inner court. I moved you from inner court to outside the temple. We can still be saying hello once, but don't let me think that I have a friend who's loyal, who's trustworthy, but who isn't there. Right. Okay. Now, Shebina, you have reassigned you have rephrased the question now. Okay, so
I think for me it's I won't call it regret. I'll think.
don't use the word regret. It's a story.
I'll call it rebase my baseline, and that's around things on loyalty,
Right.
things on vulnerability,
Right.
and things on expectations. Those three things.
Right.
There are people that have expected a lot more loyalty. I didn't get. There are people that have given more loyalty, but got stabbed. There are people that I have expectations for and they didn't meet up, or people that I know I didn't meet up the expectation, right? Yeah, so those are things that I sometimes would look and wish if I had known, I would have flipped the switch.
Right.
But apart from that, life goes on. One thing I also know is, and that just like Korede said, I don't live in total like you regret something heavily and wish. Some things I just I've learned better.
Just lessons.
Yeah, I've learned, and then let's move on.
I think.
It won't happen again, but I've learned and let's move on.
I'm interrupting you, but I think also it's. I was driving. Yes, I was driving back home yesterday. Of course, my family lives in Adene Jones with my mother-in-law because it's close to everywhere. Now, and everybody's like, why is the family not living with you? I said, well, that's not your concern. This is my mother-in-law's house. This is their school. This is my wife's office.
Right. It just makes sense.
As in, and I will go and pick them from school. That it doesn't concern you what that is, you know. But I've also realized that I don't know about him, but I believe it falls into the same category. Is that if you are raised in some sort of comfort, right? It is easy for you to adapt and forget a couple of backstabbing. People that are raised on comfort see life different from people that are raised on survival. You know, so yeah, I'm sorry.
So I'm raised to comfort.
Oh, I said you and I.
I know, but I get don't
yes, people that are raised with comfort, they see life differently from people that are raised on survival. You know, and I was telling Dipo yesterday when I was dropping him off. That's my wife's brother. So we're saying the same thing. It was like, why do these people drive like this? I said, well, you see, every person that wants to overtake you, it's the only battle they can win today. Just let them win it.
True. Avoid the road. No, really, because there's some things you don't need.
As it's the only battle they can win today. They can't win the government, can't win the school fees, can't win anything. But overtaking you is one thing, one battle. Just let him overtake you. You know? And it was like, I didn't think that way. So why are you thinking that? I said, well, you see, you and I didn't start entering bus until when we want to become niggas. There's always daddy dropping you back and forth. You know? So you would want to scam somebody because you are coming from survival. I wouldn't see your money and want to scam you. You get? So when it's easy for us to quickly recognize those regrets and just move on. That's why when I say you say no regrets, it's not no regrets. It's just that, well, I have nothing to lose. I've done enough for them.
I think it's a great perspective, but I don't think it has anything to do with comfort or survival. Because I know that I have met with people who I know were not raised on survival, but the outlook towards life is me, myself, and I. That's a survival mindset, but we weren't raised. So where did that's why I also think that the kind of people that you interact with would rub off on you this is a good rubbing off.
Yes, the comfort I'm referring to now is not comfort of just a material thing.
Okay.
Right, the comfort I'm talking about is the comfort of being able to talk to your mom. You know, having access.
Yeah, I know what I'm saying. I'm saying that it's just so when you meet people who you think that those are the times you're like, they're the odd people out. Like you just can't figure like this person is from this kind of house. Like this kind of behavior. Nibolotiwa. Like where is it from? Do you understand? Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So for me, you know how they say we live lives, or like Timothy would say seasons. I wish one of the things that I regret, I look back at that and I'm like, guy, come on, there was a time when I was made to believe, I don't know if this was intentional or what, I just believed that I wasn't supposed to enjoy, what's it called? you don't. So I don't know I don't know how to put this out in words. Like, the enjoyment should not be for me alone. So if I'm not doing this thing and my siblings are not enjoying, or try you understand,
should not do it.
I should not do it.
People should carry
Do you get? Looking back at it that now, and I'm like, if I die today, that those things that I'm saying, whatever it's called, like he said, some of it has happened. It happened recently, and Tumishe was like, just something happened. I did something that was supposed to be like for a personal project. I used it to do a house project for everybody, and then Jesus, it turned into something that I didn't expect. If anybody had that thing, they would be like, So looking back, I'm like, I see. What did they do you that time? What you did say? Then another thing, another one is, I didn't need to try so hard at life. Looking at it now, I realize that
sometimes we
it's
do
just
these things because of why. Why do we do those things?
It is that is it. It's conditioning. It is.
I agree with
yes,
you, but I'm
conditioning.
saying but sometimes, honestly, nobody expects it of us.
Yeah, many times nobody does.
Nobody expects it of us. So
that
why
is true.
do we?
So I realized
We
that
go back
now.
to image, what are you going to remember with?
So it's not for me.
What else do you remember for?
For me, it wasn't image.
I didn't grow up like me. I'm a very different. I'm just like people say they don't do some. I don't understand. I've always been, and I think that's one of my greatest fights with my parents is when Agbalagba said something, Omode does not ask question. It freaks me up to now. It still freaks me out. Like, I want to know why you are saying this don't sit at the doorstep. It's a very good place to sit. It's very comfortable.
But okay. So if I'm to take from what you just said, and take from what Corey just said,
Right.
when I was talking about people that are able to have a dialogue
Right.
with their folks,
Right.
kind of, or elderly people, kind of. Let me borrow what you just said. If, when growing up, you were able to ask those questions.
They didn't know that they answered no.
No, that's what I'm saying. Let's assume people.
Because they didn't know themselves.
Let's assume people.
Right.
No, there's actually some people that right now, maybe admit,
Right.
that they grew up in places where you could ask those questions, right? And you got an answer, you got an audience.
Right.
You see that those people will not grow up challenging life.
Right. The
They
way
will
they
grow
see
up
life is different.
expecting
Responses. Yes.
If I ask a question, I'll always get a response. If I don't get a response, that's the issue. But someone that is always asking and not getting would always believe that, you know what, I can't just take everything you're saying hook, line, and sinker. There has to be a reason why. But if you get a response, it'll be okay. That makes sense.
Right.
The day that person doesn't get a response, it becomes an issue. Now, the person that doesn't get a response will look at the person, I'm saying, Kilonshie, so what's the big deal? Potato.
I see that.
There are things, this question you have raised, this something question you have raised. Well, I've been spending in the last 5 years being, actively 2 years now, being an IFA student. And I've been going into the annals of Yoruba, not mythology, because not mythology. I came across one funny one about 3 weeks ago, one of the SFA. And it says, your meta, in January. He said, Arubo, Alejo, Alaboyu. So when an elderly person is giving you gist, or when they never give birth to your mom, who are you going to ask to confirm? He goes on to say, a visitor comes from somewhere and tells you it's raining at Adeni Jones.
I've not been there.
You can't tell.
You can't tell.
I don't know.
And when the pregnant woman said the baby is biting my belly button, are you going to go inside? You now said that ọgbọ́n la fi ń bá ní lò. Tí a bá fọgbọ́n bá ní lò, tí ò bá bọ́ sí, ká fi wèrè tẹ́ndì. That's where I've reached my point.
When you translate this thing for English.
So that is I've read about that particular one, I've read it, but that is what changed my own path. And you know what? Socrates says knowledge is absolute. But the Roman says knowledge is not absolute. The knowledge of yesterday is today.
Yes.
So when I do all of this for you and it's not making sense, I put some madness into it. My madness now is I stay by mine. When you need me, call me. If what I do enough is not enough for you, you know, can I use your wristwatch? Sure, I'll give it to you on Monday. Okay. It's Monday. This wristwatch is nice. Can I get it on Saturday? Normally, before I'll say okay, and I'll go home angrily. No. You promised to give me today. Can I have it now? If you want it again, you ask for it again. And I just move. And everybody was looking at me. That's all right. Just move.
Right.
Nobody's going to beat you, man. I don't know.
Yeah. So I'm going to run off with this, and I'll allow us to, give our input into this. What are you planting in your life, and what needs uprooting? I need a second to just breathe in the air. Think about it. If it's just one thing that you're planting and one thing that you're uprooting. Who wants to go first?
I will go first. I don't have to think.
I don't have to think about it, really. Okay, let me go first. I'll call out to the mic.
Right.
Let's go.
Right, let's do that.
From the oldest to the oldest.
Let's do that. Let's go.
So I think for me, what I'm uprooting is what doesn't work. Basically.
Right.
And that's part-time, right? There are some things that I believe so much in this thing about learn, unlearn, relearn.
Yes.
So what doesn't work, it might have worked before. If it doesn't work today, take it out.
Right.
What works, learn it, and move on.
Right.
That's me.
Okay. What am I planting? Yes, I think the relationship between myself and my siblings, all right, it was good, all right. It's getting better. All right, I'm going to plant that into my children, because whether I'm going to leave, of course, I'm going to leave this world and leave them behind, but I will be happier if you know that there's cordiality amongst my family. I'm really doing everything to connect everyone, even the people in the village. I try as much as possible to just, and it's not because the children will go and marry their cousins in America because they don't know. That's not why. It's just that, sometimes I want to be proud also when we go to Ojude or Ekimogun and somebody is boasting that the Kenikon dynasty won something last year, So I also want to be, but I said I'm trying to make sure that in the family, right from my that's my own nuclear family, to ensure that there's togetherness amongst everyone, even after I leave. What am I uprooting? It's just that there's this thing I have, the tendency to be just me. Right. Yeah, because when you push me to the particular corner like this, I just turn away. That's the end, and it takes forever for me to come back from that. And by the time you come back from that, there will have been too many, not necessarily palpable harm, but something that takes a lot of effort to repair. And it's a bit difficult. It's tough. I agree, but I'm using my family as the first experiment to bring. Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Well, for me, what am I planting? I'm planting seeds that would make me not feel guilty when I put myself first. When I don't do collective things and not feel guilty about them. I've been practicing that. Though I still get some few stares and all of that, but I'm trying as much as possible not to feel bad when I do things for myself. And when I mean do things, I mean do things for myself.
Right.
You see me buy something for myself, and I'm thinking, oh God, how am I now and Leo? But then, God, I'm busting my behind out for, so I should be the first person to.
Right.
So that and I think if I'm able to plant that and it germinates, I would have peace.
What are you uprooting?
What I'm uprooting is worrying so much about everything. I want to stop worrying. Fine. I'm the first child. I feel like I have this responsibility of ensuring that everybody turns out better. So there's so much things to worry about. The ones that are not even here, even the one that we don't marry, I'm still always.
Well, that's a choice.
Yeah, so I'm trying to uproot all of that. I'm trying not to worry. So these people have their lives to live. So why am I worrying?
Are you not feeling headache or stress? Because
I
these
am.
are two different ideas you're holding.
I am.
First,
And
and
you
what
are-
works.
I am.
A whole lot of
I am.
cognitive dissonance.
How do you draw the line?
So how do I draw the line? I what I do now is okay, I think I watched something. I don't know where I saw that thing from. And I realized that at the end of the day, it will be only me. All these people that I'm worried about. All these things that I'm worried about.
So do you have instances now that you can take those decisions for yourself and just do it? You might feel a little bit of regret because it's still something new to you, but you do those things for yourself.
Yeah. So I had this phone. This was my old phone. And then when I was about to buy this one, and we needed to do something in the house, it was going to be. I went ahead and bought a new phone.
That's most where they start.
I went ahead and bought a new phone because I'd done it before. I was supposed to buy a phone. Before the lockdown, I was supposed to buy a phone. My phone was really bad. But I ended up buying a prepaid meter for the house.
Yeah, because it's also possible that what you have done in trying to always be there for them is to raise them on an entitlement mentality. Again, that's not their fault. It's part of what you have to deal
So
with.
okay, so it wasn't, they didn't force me.
That's
but
what
this
I'm
was,
saying.
so what I was trying to do was so that they don't miss
You don't
our
understand.
parents.
No, you don't.
Sure,
Have,
understand.
You don't have to.
I thought that
You
that was
don't
our
have
thing.
to.
You're
It's
You are justifying what you did.
You are justifying
Meanwhile-
what you want to uproot.
No, I'm actually it's a
Because
step like
the
he
question
said.
I asked him is, what one thing are you doing for yourself now? Right? And he had to go into the annals.
To go on, yeah.
But it's fine. It's a gradual thing. It's one
Like
day
you said,
at a
gradual.
time.
Yeah,
one
exactly.
day. All right. Thank you very much, guys, for being in the studio. This has been good. It was supposed to just be a few minutes, but it's almost going to an hour now, man. Thank you very much for listening. This has been Mindfully with Tumishe, but this is Ola. You know, this is not Tumishe's voice now. Thank you for listening, and we'd like to hear your feedback about what you've heard, what you think. Of course, again, Happy Men's Month. Is it Men's? Yeah, Happy Men's Health
Mental health.
Month.
Let me see, man.
You can't even remember the name of the month. You can't even remember.
This is Mindfully with Tumishe, brought to you by Black Images.